Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at episode 5 of Danganronpa 3 Side Despair. So, let me first get this out of the way. I apologize, this is a little late today. I really was really exhausted. I didn't sleep very well last night. So, I do apologize. It was out, unfortunately that's what happens sometimes. But, when I watched this episode, you have no idea. I became so alert. I was wide awake. This episode is chock full of just everything Danganronpa fans want, everything fan Danganronpas were asking for. The fans got what they wanted in this episode because honestly, this is probably one of the biggest amount of reveals I've seen in the show so far. And honestly, this also ties in very well with those who have not really seen the original source material, but it even helps out more if you have seen it, which is really cool. Let's get started. So we have Yukizume talking about how she had to spend her half year as a reserve course teacher, and she talks about how horrible it was and how much of a nightmare it was. But what we end up learning is that when she's talking to the Ultimate High School boxer guy, we learned that she did find out some information about the various deaths and the kind of weird things that are going on with Hope's Peak Academy, and that she notices something centered around something called the Kamukura Project. Now, the Kamakura project, she has no idea really what it is. She's heard rumors about it in her workspace and all that, but she really doesn't have any solid proof of what it is. And she knows though that one thing is kind of odd. The same time this thing was announced, or same time that it was coming to fruition, Hajime all of a sudden drops out. Interesting, right? We all know he didn't drop out, but it's very interesting that this is what kind of just all of a sudden happens. So we do see that they're putting the pieces together. They're realizing that these two have something to do with one another, and at a whole, the reserve course is hiding something very sneaky and very devious. But of course, fans of Danganronpa know what this is. Those who have not seen the original source material or played the second game probably still very confused by it. Do not worry, because if anything, the show is already heading toward it, and I'll show it especially toward the end. So, Yukizume finally does get some good news, though. She's able to go back to her class, and she's really happy about that. She's been away for half a year, almost a little more than that. And we also see something really cool, which I wanted to show. We see that apparently the new semester is about to begin, and all the students that were in the class, of course, are going to be upperclassmen, and at the same time, we're getting a whole new slew of students. Those new students are right there. They are the cast of Danganronpa 1. That is awesome. I mean, honestly, that is so cool. It's showing that these two stories are finally interlocking with one another and connecting, and that's very interesting. I cannot wait to see where this is going to go from here. I know the obvious stuff of where it's going to go, but I want to see the kind of, ways it's going to go into place, if that makes sense. Now, everyone is happy to see Yukizume back. They all have a surprise party for her when she goes back to the classroom. And, we find out that Nanami was actually the one behind setting this party up. She was keeping the class alive and keeping them together. So much so that, there's funny scenes that show certain characters are very connected now. We see certain characters have grown up, including one lowly-looking girl. She really grew up. Just say that. She had a growth spurt, as they say. I'm not going to show it because, like I said, I have a whole bunch of images to show that are kind of important. But, this was really nice. It was a touching scene because, it's almost kind of, I want to say foreshadowing that the happiness is not going to last. I hate to say it that way, but it's how it is. Now, we do learn some stuff about our side characters, and namely, I want to say that I do not fully understand. This is the one thing I can't get yet. I'm very curious on what they're going to go with this with. But I can't understand what they mean by these side characters and what their significance is. I even learned about some character that I didn't realize was even what he was. But let's talk about that. So we saw in the beginning of this episode, I didn't show it because I wanted to save some time and go right into the kind of meat of the episode, but we learn that there's a super high school level animator called Ryoto Midira. And what's funny about this guy is that that name sounds familiar, right? For anyone that knows, that actually is the chubby guy in the class with everyone else. So, wait a second, is there two of them? You wonder. That's very interesting, right? I'll get more into that, don't worry. But what's funny is we finally get to see an old familiar face. Fans will know her. people that have not met her meet the person that's probably the realization, the reason behind everything that goes down in the Danganronpa world. Junko. She is back. She is back, and she is creepy as ever. Honestly, this girl is psycho. But it is so cool to see her back because that just ensues some bad stuff's about to happen to our characters, especially when she name drops. I just want to put this in here. She name drops the incident that fans will know of. If you have not read the stuff or seen any of the source material beforehand, I will explain this really fast to you. Do not worry. So the biggest, most atrocious, despair-inducing incident in human history, and it's known by a different name in the English translation a little bit, but this incident is essentially what causes the world shift to happen that I've talked about several times in the course of my reviews for Danganronpa. This is the big incident where everyone starts hitting despair because all of a sudden people are getting killed, people are being threatened, people are just in general changing as a human race. And the thing is, it's not even happening in just one spot of the world, it's happening everywhere across the world. And it's all because of that girl sitting right there. Junko is the beginner, the catalyst to this event. And I wanted to name drop this and tell everyone what that was in case you do not know. But it is something that is the center behind all the Danganronpa games, and it's very important. So it's very interesting she name dropped this, meaning that we are getting up to that part. And I'm very curious if this anime is going to go more into detail about it, because so far, a lot of the video games, and more so the other anime and the manga and stuff like that, what they've done is they've kind of danced around the despair-inducing incident. What they have done is they talk about it here and there. They go on about this and that. They show like little snippets of stuff that happened during that, but they never go into super detail. And I wonder if this anime is going to do that. I'm very curious about that. But anyways, so I'm not going to show the images also because again, a lot of images this episode. But the Ryoto passes out at one point. Now we do learn that the chubby guy who has the same name as him, so they're both the Ryoto, is the one that's taking care of him. And when he passes out, he goes, I got a plan. And he goes to meet the ultimate nurse, the one that's from the class. And what he does is he brings her back to the room, carrying her, which she thinks is something totally different. But he brings her back and explains some stuff to her. Namely, he is the super high school level imposter. He has no name, he has no family, he has no aliases but that. So that's very interesting. I never knew this even when I played the second game because he is one of the characters in the second game, and he goes off the name of Ryoto in that. I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember him ever saying he was an imposter. I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't played the second game in a couple years because that was on the PS Vita a while back. But I don't remember him ever saying he was an imposter. So I'm very curious what their story has to do with a lot of things. I'm very, because I mean they were like a quarter focus of this episode, so that must mean that they have something very important role-wise in this whole thing. I'm very curious to see what that is. Now, another cool scene is we see Makoto Naegi when he was at his peak, going to Hope's Peak. I didn't mean that to be a pun, but it came out as one. Anyways, and then I didn't mean to rhyme, but that happened too. Anyways, though, he goes to the class, and hey, it's ready for him. It's opening graduation day, or opening ceremony day, excuse me. Open graduation day. Oh, jeez. But it's opening ceremony day, and he's going to class. So is Junko. That's, I wonder where that's going to go. Danganronpa 1 fans. That's going to be interesting. Now, I want to end the episode and the review with what happened off into the whole separate incident. And I'm not going to show the image for that either. I'm just going to talk about it, and then I'll show the final image. So we see Hajime actually alive and well. He is in a bed in a solo white room. And, he's thinking about things. One thing he's namely thinking about is his incident with the high school boxer, which, led him to believe that he really wants to grow and become stronger as a person. So he's willing to become what these people want him to become, which is apparently the arbiter, the embodiment of hope. That's what they want him to be. And they put him into a machine. And as again, fans of the series and like diehard fans will know what this is. But they put him into the machine to rework him. And the final images of the anime are, well, this episode more so, is him waking up with red eyes. That's very interesting. We kind of know where this is going to go from here. Yeah, trust me, we know where this is going to go here. If you're not knowing what's going to happen next, don't worry. Next episode, I'm pretty sure, is going to explain it. So, anyways, guys and girls, that's it for today's review. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, the share button, comment anything you want. I will talk to you all later. Have a great day, people. Bye bye.